What's a life hack that sounds crappy, but actually works really well? A knitted fake wasp nest. Are wasps bugged off the same day? Haven't been seen since. I've never heard of this before. Do wasps dislike competition? They're scared of wasps. Just like everyone else. Choose your reaction before your emotions can. I was always jealous of people who naturally had a great response to problems, like I forgot something at home. Oh well. It happens to everyone. I'm sure they'll understand why I'm late. Close bracket. I began really noticing how much easier that must make life. So I started trying to imagine the right reaction to situations. If you make yourself pause to think of a good reaction, you can kind of choose it like yeah, that would be a good one, and then you don't give your stupid brain an opportunity to throw out a shitty reaction. This one's really good, but I imagine takes a lot of effort. It would go a long way to improving mental health though. It sounds really hard, but there's positive reinforcement involved, because you want to keep doing it. It's hard to explain any subtlety with how it works for me. Instead of trying to convince myself, I really do choose a reaction. Like, imagine you're at a new restaurant and their menu has some amazing meal that you had forgotten was a thing. You don't go yeah, I think you'll probably like this. You poke the menu and say, yeah, this one. I want to avoid being all upset or anxious. So I really embrace the perspective that would avoid feeling like that. By now it's become natural to me, except when I don't even think to try. When someone you like or respect does something confusingly infuriating, imagine the most favorable to them possible explanation and pretend that's true. Wait until you know more before getting reflexively angry. Edit. Thanks for the awards. I assume the best of you. I do a version of this as a teacher when a student messes up. I go in saying I'm worried about them, rather than I'm disapproving of them. I'll learn much more about students' home lives and build better relationships. Also, anyone who is a boss and is reading this is how you should manage employees. Being disapproving causes people to not want to meet with you and puts them on the defense, rather than working together to solve a problem. If you can't help them after multiple attempts, then it's probably a lost cause after a certain period. Take 2 to 10 minutes to tidy up your home before you go to bed. The next morning, you'll feel way better not having to look at all the junk/things you still have to do. Whenever I do this, I inevitably forget I have, so when I wake up in the morning it feels like magical elves came and cleaned my house in the night. Here's similar here, but my wife, when I do that late at night or early morning when she's asleep, I tell her Dobby, the house elf from Harry Potter, came and cleaned up the kitchen. Taking a break when you get frustrated with a task. Seriously, I will spend an hour looking for why I'm off balance at work and will give up. Go back to it an hour later and find it right away. If something's worth doing, it's usually worth doing badly. Half-assing the dishes is better than leaving them to fester in the sink. Sending old friends a happy birthday message when Facebook prompts you is better than losing touch entirely. Taking a quick shower without soap is better than not showering at all. Piling your laundry up in a basket instead of putting in the wardrobe is better than leaving it scattered over the floor. Also applies to self-improvement stuff as well as maintenance. Don't worry so much about doing 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats and a 10 km run that you do nothing. Just walk around the block and do one of each of the others for now. Just write 1 page a day of that novel and allow it to be terrible. Write simple, buggy programs. Draw badly. Watch YouTubers cook or fix their car, or put on Mac or build something. Even if you can't find the energy to yourself. If you're having trouble finding a date, start preemptively assuming that everyone is off limits and just focus on finding genuine friends who match your orientation. Somewhere along the line you'll lose your discomfort and start getting better at doing what you want or need to do. Wow, that is a twist I never thought of. As someone who recently discovered that something I've struggled with my whole life is defeated perfectionism. It's always been nearly impossible for me to give value to anything that I don't do in its fullest/best/most complete way, which leads to lots of procrastination and a lot of just not doing things. I've heard done is better than perfect a lot, but it's still really hard to turn into practice. Better to do it badly than not at all is a twist that feels like it'll stick a lot better. Writing things down by hand helps you remember them better. Yeah, when my teachers let us make cheat sheets for tests, I ended up knowing the material well enough that I only needed to reference the cheat sheet once in a while. I always let my students make a cheat sheet in the first 15 minutes of class before a test exactly for this reason. They end up also prioritizing info they have a hard time with. Sometimes I'll walk around the room and see what they are putting on the index cards I gave them. If I'm seeing patterns, I can quickly correct misconceptions before the exam. They're a great feedback tool for me as well. I started saying silly instead of stupid, like for example, "Oh, I'm so stupid," or "That was stupid." I've noticed that it helped improve my self-esteem. I do this with my 3-year-old. I tell her all the time that something is silly instead of weird or stupid. It helps build her up and helps me not feel as negative. If you always put your keys in the same place, you won't lose them till your wife moves them. Haha, joke's on you. I don't have anyone who loves me. I call it the power of might as well. Gonna get up from my desk and go to the kitchen? Oh well. Might as well take this plate with me. Going to pee before bed? Oh well. Might as well brush my teeth. Going to brush my teeth? Oh well. Might as well floss. Going outside? Oh well. Might as well bring the trash. It's ridiculous, but it works. You'll end up on top of the Everest pretty fast if you're not careful with that. Going for a walk around the block? Might as well walk to Nepal and climb Mount Everest. Bending your knees up using a little stool to support your feet while pooping. It has changed my life. I don't think I've meant a literal crappy tip. I've been told I tend to be a bit too literal. Don't save your banking information on online stores. Makes impulse buying much more difficult if you have to track down your wallet. Unless you remember all the numbers on your card, in which case you're ducked and your memory is too good for you to forget you're ducked. Just remember someone else's card info. Don't ask someone, "Do you need anything?" when they are going through something. Ask them, "What can I do for you?" and stop talking. Sometimes listening is enough. Being a good listener isn't easy. You have to stop waiting for your turn to speak and just be there for them. Source: father of daughters. Can confirm. Source: I'm young widow. I can also confirm. Source: I'm a daughter. Sorry for your loss. Ignoring toxic family members or work calls can improve your mental health when properly spread out. Sometimes it's okay to set your phone aside and unplug this. I'm in sales/consulting. It's a 6-day-a-week gig. We are given dedicated work phones. I moved all my customers to that number. Didn't tell them it was a work phone. Just that I was switching numbers. After 6 and on Saturdays, I just turned the phone off. There's nothing I can help with at that time that cannot be addressed the following day. I also moved work apps, emails, etc. to solely that phone. If something is absolutely on fire, my boss will reach out on my personal phone. This has been fantastic for my work/life balance. Unfortunately, I really don't like my job, but that's on me. I've come to a similar realization. Ironically, because of Rick and Morty, I work in management accounts, doing weekly analysis, relatively low level, not setting budgets or anything. I used to get really stressed about everything. Then there was that line in Pickle Rick: "There's no way you can do it so wrong that someone might die." It rang true. The worst I can do is lessen efficiency a bit or throw our cost out by a fraction of a penny per case. ITD have to be corrected and be annoying. But no one's going to die because it costs us 2p a case instead of 3. We'd just adjust for it the next week. Not necessarily crappy Peresi, but I always encourage people to befriend the hospital employees that bring you your meal trays. They'll hook you up with the good stuff, so you're not stuck eating crappy food. My sibling had brain surgery a couple years back, and the most sweet and attentive person she encountered was from housekeeping. I try to be as nice as that lady. Worked as a security guard in college at a hospital, did patrols through the ICU, and became quite familiar with a lot of the families. Turns out I was one of the only people in the hospital that was kind and respectful. Asked them how they were doing, etc. Maybe too was the normalcy of my walkthroughs of the IQ as well. Was interesting because I felt my biggest contribution wasn't in making the place safer, but maybe brightening the days of people who were literally having the worst days of their lives. I imagine that housekeeping person felt a lot of the same way. If you keep forgetting, if you locked your door /car/lock, do something silly after locking it. It will help you remember. If you have to think back, I would always say it's day of the week and I lock the door. The act of figuring out what frickin' day it is helped me remember. Or just get used to always shaking the handle after you lock the door. After a while your brain will do it without thinking about it. And if it's not locked you'll lock it for sure, since you're standing right there with the keys. Exercising first thing in the morning really does make you feel better all day. It is garbage to start. Take a month or two to get used to it, then you miss a day and feel like shit. I actually really hate that this is the truth. I started exercising in the morning with the express purpose to disprove that 1. Doing your hardest/least favorite task first thing gets it done, and 2. That it improves your mood and energy for the day. Been getting up at 4:55 am every morning for so many years to exercise before work that I cannot live without it. Like I will wake at 3 am to exercise if I have something that will have me leaving the house for 5 am. I live in Budduck nowhere. Most medical appointments are hours away, and I have 2 chronic illnesses. I was invited to join a group of people cycling in the morning years ago, but I always declined because they start at 6:30 am. I decided to join them for a couple of rides 5 months ago and now I'm hooked. I need to get up at 5 am to be there ready by 6:30 am. I have never been a morning person, but now I feel great after every ride. I think it is an amazing way to start the day. Plus I have lost about 40 pounds since starting. Exclamation mark. That is awesome. Stretch every morning. Nothing fancy. Just spine, shoulder, neck and leg stretches should be fine. Breathe deeply while you do it to wake yourself up. Especially for people with a sedentary lifestyle or who work in office jobs. This is huge. Don't lose track of your body's flexibility and strength. Feel it stretch every morning, and you will spend the rest of your day, and hopefully your life, with a release of movement. You'll feel lighter and stronger. Also, visual cues to remind you to fix your posture and sit with an elongated, technically you shouldn't say straight, spine. Post-it notes everywhere. Notice other people's posture and that'll make you fix yours. Trust me, the smallest movements like lifting boxes or going upstairs, picking things up from the floor, etc., they should never feel difficult. Stretching in the morning helps your body to be ready to perform those tiny day-to-day activities efficiently without wasting energy. Just tell the truth. Agreed. It takes way more energy to cover things up or avoid them, or invent reasons for things. Befriend the invisible people that everyone overlooks. The hotel maids, the janitor at your office, anyone doing a thankless job that people often look down upon. Treat them like valuable human beings because they are. These are people working far harder than most of us can imagine, taking care of themselves and their families and often barely scraping by. You never know in this life when you're going to be the one interaction that saved someone's life, or at least made it a little bit better for a day or a moment. And you never know when some person who nobody paid attention to could end up being there for you, especially if they know and like you. I read about this hack in How to Win Friends and Influence People. You never know who will cross paths with again. Being genuinely nice and appreciative with people. They'll 100% help you out in any way they can. The security guards at my office building bring my food up to me whenever I order lunch, and when our office was closed I asked them to bring our mail up and leave it in a locked office they had a key to. My coworker was bitching, even though it benefited him too, that they only did that because I'm a girl. Bitch, I make them cookies all the time and ask about their families. People do nice things for nice people. Yeah, whenever I'm having a frustrating issue and need to call customer service I always try to preface with something like, I know this is totally not your fault and I'm going to try to not take it out on you. but I'm frustrated right now. And then treat them respectfully. You have a much higher likelihood of getting your problem resolved in a satisfactory way, because customer service often has a surprising amount of discretionary power. Using leftover bags from grocery stores or whatnot for trash bags. IDKY. But whenever I tell people this, I get a funny look. It works well. Wait. People don't already do this? IKR. What are they even doing with their plastic bags stuffed with other plastic bags under the sink? Smiling in the mirror when you're feeling down. The act of smiling releases molecules in the brain that help relieve stress, pain and sadness. Tidy up. Just 5 minutes. Every day. Set an alarm for 5 minutes. This changed my life. This works for most things you don't want to do or think you don't have energy for. You are either right and have proven it to yourself, or you'll find it wasn't so bad and keep going. Learning to do things the hard way first makes it easier on the long run. Since you can't always use the easy way, but the hard way always works. The best way to master the long sword is to practice with one in each hand. It is hard at first, but all things are hard at first. Miyamoto Musashi. Hey PSSST. Please subscribe and like.